equilibrium. It's hard to beat the system when we're standing at a distance. So we keep on waiting. We're waiting on the world to change.
Hello, my name is Stanley Heller. Welcome to The Struggle. The Struggle is on over 30 cable stations from Maine to New York City and points west. We start with two striking pictures from Syria. The first is of a family doing an iftar meal in the one flat spot in the ruins of their home. The second is a rally in Idlib with the three-star flag of the Syrian freedom movement much in evidence. Moving on to the virus. Some politicians call COVID-19 the Chinese virus, hoping to divert attention from their own incompetence to racism against the Chinese. Well, I've been looking into the worst pandemic, the one that started in 1918 in the last year of World War I. It's been called the Spanish flu, not because it started in Spain, but because Spain was neutral and published news about the disease uncensored. But Spain didn't get the flu until that summer. The first known case was from a U.S. soldier in March in Kansas. By the end of the day, 100 other soldiers at the fort where he was serving reported sick. Army doctors did the best they could, but it kept on spreading. When the U.S. sent 200,000 soldiers to Europe that spring, the disease spread all over the continent. By racist logic, it should be called the American flu. But that's racist nonsense. COVID-19, AIDS, whatever, they're diseases and not some ethnic fault. I was listening to public radio the other day and came across an interview with John Barry, a public health professor whose 15-year-old book is now a bestseller. He wrote about the flu of 1918. It was fascinating. Barry pointed out that authorities then claimed the disease was just a flu like any other. They didn't want to upset people. They wanted them to keep on cheering the war. President Woodrow Wilson never spoke about the flu and never even wrote about it, not even in his private papers, even though he caught the flu and suffered all the worst symptoms. Authorities in those days didn't want to hurt morale, so they just lied. There was a law called the Sedition Act that basically made it illegal to criticize the government, and it had a maximum sentence of 20 years in prison. A Wisconsin newspaper talked frankly about the growing epidemic, and its editors were charged. Other newspapers got the point and erased the catastrophe from the news. This all cost lives. A parade in Philadelphia designed to sell war bonds was not canceled, even though all the local health authorities wanted the parade stopped. An estimated 200,000 people turned out for the festivities. 2 days later, the disease exploded in Philadelphia. Eventually, 600,000 Americans died of that flu. The Fresh Air interviewer, Terry Gross, asked Barry whether we were repeating mistakes that were made in 19. And Barry said yes. First, when people trivialized the disease for months, saying it was no big thing. And second, for what he called the testing debacle, meaning starting to open up without having enough tests for the people leaving their homes. He finished by saying, "For a country that should be the best in the world, to be where we are in these areas is almost beyond belief." Before leaving the virus, I want to mention a hunger strike on a cruise ship, a Royal Caribbean cruise ship that is now in Miami. Only the crew is on board, and they have no idea when they're going to be allowed off the ship and allowed to be sent home. And so for at least 3 days on this island of luxury, they went on hunger strike. Now this from Middle East Eye. I also saw a video from Israeli Channel 12. By their account, the young man had stabbed a hospital security man first. But I heard the shots. He was shot 7 times while lying on the ground. Jewish Voice for Peace had an international Zoom event on Nakba Day, May 15th. When Palestinians and allies remember the ethnic cleansing in Palestine in 1947 and 1948. Here are some of the pictures taken from their Facebook page about it. This is JVP's new executive director, Stephanie Fox. This is Chief Mandla Mandela, who spoke from South Africa. He's the grandson of the great anti-apartheid leader Nelson Mandela. The Palestinian right to return to their homes was highlighted, and JVP asked watchers to sign a new petition. We'll link to it at thestruggle.org. The event closed with remarks by Omar Barghouti, a BDS activist in Palestine and winner of the 2017 Gandhi Peace Award.
Many of the refugees are fleeing wars and repression that are fueled by Israeli weapons and military experts from Myanmar to South Sudan to Rwanda to Latin America. Many are held back at borders or are forced into life-threatening passages by Israeli technology and Israeli-inspired walls. The U.S. border with Mexico is fortified by a wall and surveillance towers partially built by Israel's largest military company, Elbit Systems. Many asylum seekers have lost their lives in the Mediterranean due to the EU's illegal and immoral anti-immigration policies that use Israel's killer drones. Israel itself treats African asylum seekers as a cancer that must be eradicated. Based on those commonalities, we call for banning arms trade and military security cooperation with Israel, suspending free trade agreements with apartheid Israel, prohibiting all trade with Israel's illegal settlements, applying boycott and divestment pressure on all the companies in the United Nations database of corporations that are complicit in Israel's illegal settlement enterprise, and those companies that are still omitted from that database but certainly belong there, like G4S, Hewlett-Packard companies, Elbit Systems, Caterpillar, Hyundai, Heavy Industries, Volvo, Heidelberg Cement, Cemex, and others. Ensuring that the last point is ensuring that individuals and corporate actors responsible for war crimes and crimes against humanity in the context of Israel's regime of illegal occupation and apartheid are brought to justice. This year's Nakba Day, under the threat of the pandemic, is a reminder that justice is indeed indivisible, as Angela Davis said, and as Stephanie reminded us. The key to justice is putting people before profit and realigning priorities everywhere to divest from the military security complex and to invest in health, education, climate protection, dignified jobs, and true human security. Healthcare, not warfare. We stand united against all racism and oppression. We stand united in imagining a dignified life, a dignified world for all, without oppression, with racial justice, with gender justice, economic, socio-justice, with climate justice. And we can work together to reach that dream. So to end, there are some actions that are on the chat box on Zoom or on your Facebook pages. You might see them from all the organizations organizing this rally. Please try to participate in some of those proposed actions. We know that together we can prevail, together we shall prevail. Free Palestine.
Tufts College is north of Cambridge in Massachusetts. It has an active chapter of Students for Justice in Palestine. Early this year, that group got a number of student groups on campus to join together to expose Tufts' participation in a police exchange program in which U.S. police are sent to Israel for training. In mid-April, SJP got a campus award for those efforts, for getting some 45 groups together on this project. You can imagine how the Zionists reacted. At the end of April, the president of Tufts, Anthony Monaco, and several of his deans issued a statement criticizing the student group for giving Tufts SJP an award, saying that the SJP there supported BDS, which had elements of anti-Semitism. Rubbish. I wrote a letter to Monaco on behalf of promoting enduring peace. I pointed out that boycotts of Israel are praiseworthy and that PEP had given the Gandhi Peace Award to Omar Barghouti for his BDS advocacy. You can see the letter in the press release section at pepeace.org. Send your own letter to President Monaco. Here's his email, anthony.monaco@tufts.edu. Send a copy to us at mail@thestruggle.org. And on Twitter, go to PEPeace and please retweet the tweet about Tufts. One site that we've been affiliated with is SaudiUS.org of the Coalition Against the U.S.-Saudi Alliance. Happy to say its website has been completely updated, made more secure, and we think more attractive. Here's the top of the home page. On the bottom of the home page, you have links for easy navigation and also a link to its Twitter page. Or in the moving slideshow, you could click on the words, "Click for details," or navigate with tabs on top. Speaking of the Saudi issue, the Middle East Crisis Committee is again trying to get the University of New Haven administration to stop its work for the Saudi Police Military College. It appears their current contract will expire next June, but they may already have started bargaining. We'll be making these points with UNH. The Saudi justice system has gotten no better. the supposed investigation and trials of people who killed Khashoggi were an utter farce. One of the people on the hit team, the man who brought the bone saw with him, is still the boss at the Saudi Forensic Society, where UNH's Henry C. Lee is on the editorial board. The Crown Prince, who negotiated the last contract with UNH, bin Naif, has not only been pushed aside, the new Crown Prince, bin Salman, put bin Naif in prison 2 months ago on a charge of treason. And lots more. See details at saudius.org. Unidad Latinas and Accion had another of their excellent car caravans, or honkathons, on May 14th, this time calling for Connecticut Governor Lamont to expand help for low-wage workers. At the same time, they held a press conference on Zoom. They called for cancellation of rent and mortgage debts, not just the postponements that the governor had decreed. Especially at risk are the workers without the proper documents. They're getting nothing from the stimulus laws, even though they pay taxes and are a big proportion of the essential workforce. One of the speakers said, "They are treating us bad and putting us in cages. Now they want us to go to work and die. They take no responsibility but love destroying communities and people. Why aren't they cleaning the streets? Why aren't they mass-producing protective gear? And we have so many clothing and supplies manufacturers out here. This is madness. Now they want back rent, back utilities, back telecommunications, and threaten our job security while raising food prices. That to me is war. This is war on the immigrant, disabled, elderly, mentally unwell, incarcerated, and detained. This is war on poor people, and we are fed up." At the press conference, I asked if Governor Lamont had responded to any of the car caravans. For Unidad, Megan Fountain answered that he responded to a reporter's question on May Day, saying that he had done enough. Enough? Are you kidding? Wall Street is getting enough. The banks are getting enough. The workers, the essential workers, are getting screwed, blued, and tattooed. And you, Governor Lamont, aren't lifting a finger to help them. This is the next event, online. The rest of the program will be more of the virtual rally on climate that was held in late April by the Connecticut Climate Crisis Mobilization. We start at a point where we were treated with song. Now, it is my privilege to introduce Connecticut's state troubadour, Nekita Waller, who has performed at several events for the climate.
Wow. Thank you so much for having me, C3M. I want to say thank you to Mr. Mitch, Mr. John, Mr. Fred for allowing me to inspire and continue to motivate the people that believe in Connecticut. Let's continue to knock out this corona stuff and let's fight for what we're fighting for. Me and all my friends, we're all misunderstood. They say we stand for nothing, and there's no way we ever could. Now we see everything that's going wrong in a world that's all in it. We just know that we don't have the means to rise above and beat it. So we keep on waiting, waiting on the world to change. We keep on waiting, waiting on the world to change. C3M. It's hard to beat the system when we're standing at a distance. So we keep on waiting. We're waiting on the world to change. Now, if we had the power to bring our neighbors home from war, we would have never missed a Christmas, no more ribbons on the door. And when we touch the television, and what you see is what you got, and then the only information, they can change it all they want. So we keep on waiting, waiting on the world to change. We keep on waiting, waiting on the world to change. It's not that we don't care, we just know that this fight ain't fair. So we keep on waiting, we're waiting on the world to change. That's what we doing, right?
Yeah.
Thank you for saying yeah. At least I know I'm not by myself. There's a movement going on. By now, everybody be clapping, raising their signs, because that's what they do. And that's what we do together. We are waiting. And we're still waiting, waiting on the world to change. We keep on waiting, Mitch. We're waiting on the world to change. One day our generation is gonna rule the population. So we keep on waiting, waiting on the world to change. Keep on waiting, waiting on the world to change. We keep on waiting, keeping on the world to change. Thank you. I think that's what we're doing, waiting on the world to change. Thank you again for that platform. All right. I don't know if I'm doing another. Did I go over my time? I don't want to go over my time.
If you want to do one more.
Okay.
On four.
All right. I got one more prepared just on the fly. And again, I definitely want to thank C3M for allowing me to do this. Let me pull this up. And I'm ready. Here it is right here. All right. Can you hear that song? Can you hear it? Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So when we get to where we get to, when I wake up in the morning, and the sunlight hurts my eyes, and something without warning, love, bears heavy on my mind. Then I look at you, and CT is all right with you. Just one look at you, C3M, it's gotta be, come on, somebody say it with me, a lovely day. Hey, yeah, that's right, Mitch. Lovely day. Oh. When the day that lies ahead of me seems impossible to face, when someone else instead of you and me always seem to know the way, then I look at you and the world is all right with us. Just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be a lovely day. A lovely day. day, a lovely day, a lovely day, a lovely day, when the day that lies ahead of me seems impossible to face. Oh, and someone else instead of me always seems to know the way they think they do. But then we get together and we make all the changes you'll see. And just one look at you, and the fight will never stop, won't never stop, won't never stop. Will be a lovely day. Oh, oh, oh. A lovely day. Oh, oh yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you, Miss Susan.
That was excellent. Outstanding. Yeah. Virtual
Thank you,
clapping
Nekita.
and viewed. That's our program for today. Remember to stay safe, but stay active. I'm Stanley Heller for The Struggle.